Samantha. It's the beginning of a new year. The air, crisp and cold. The ground covered in a soft blanket of snow. Aiden clutched a small box in his hand. Inside, a pair of earrings. What better night than tonight to confess his feelings? It's been 3 months since they first met. Three months since the start of the school year and that AP class they shared. Samantha wasn't just any girl. She wasn't like the others in their class. She was beautiful, smart, but most importantly, she was in a league far above Aiden's. Her father, Harold Williams, was a well-known doctor. Beyond that, he had influence at BII Academy. Samantha had all the privileges she wanted. On the other hand, Aiden had earned his place at the BII Academy by merit alone. It hadn't been easy, but he made it. What is he doing here? Another one of those freeloaders. Aiden was used to it by then. He used to feeling like an outsider, but Samantha wasn't like that. I have an extra seat. Come on, you can sit here. Thanks. And that was how it began. Samantha was kind, down to earth, beautiful in a way that made it hard for him to breathe sometimes. In no time at all, they bonded. And that feeling he tried so hard to ignore had only grown. It was love. Now, with a deep breath, Aiden found himself standing outside her house. He hesitated for only a moment before he took a small stone from the ground and tossed it at her window. Mr. Harold? Shoot. Aiden put on his hoodie, trying to casually walk away as he heard Mr. Harold's voice. Hey, who's there? What happened, Dad? Some guy threw a rock at my window. What? Aiden? Who? How am I supposed to know, Dad? You woke up the whole house. Go to bed. Aiden breathed out in relief as Mr. Harold closed the window. But just as he was to bail, he heard Samantha. Aiden, what were you doing? I told you the window to the left. My left or your left? Just come up. Aiden jumped into Samantha's room. His heart raced as he looked at her. She was so beautiful. This is for you. Samantha took the earrings with a smile. A New Year's gift? You're so sweet, Aiden. You know what? We'll wait right here. returned after a few moments with something in her hand. I thought you might like this. It was a sleek, silver watch, simple but beautiful. Before Aiden could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed outside her door. Samantha's eyes widened in panic. Aiden, you can't be here. Samantha? Who are you talking to? No one. Go back to bed, Dad. Are you sure? Is it that thief? Yes, I'm sure. Go to bed. Let me see that guy again. This time I'll teach him a lesson. Hearing Mr. Harold, Aiden jumped out the window. When can I see you again? My dad's a hawk. Probably after the winter break. 7 days? Better than never. All right. The days that followed felt like a strange blur. Then, one night, everything changed. It was late, far past midnight, and Aiden was sitting in his room, staring at the watch on his wrist. The cold light from the street lamp outside spilled through his window, casting long shadows on the walls. Suddenly, the soft click of a window opening pulled him from his thoughts. Aiden? Samantha? You snuck out? I had to see you. What if your dad finds out? He won't. For the first time in a while, they were truly alone. No rules, no interruptions, just the two of them. As Samantha came near him, Aiden closed his eyes as a cool breeze hit his face. For a split second, it was like the world was out of focus. He blinked, seeing not Samantha. It was the old woman. Those eyes were cold, unblinking. She was watching him, staring with a strange, hungry intensity. What the hell? Aiden shouted, instinctively pushing her back. The room felt like it was spinning, and he could feel the hair on his neck stand on end. Samantha froze, her face a mask of confusion. What? I saw an old woman. What? I'm not that old, okay? Just 5 months older than you. No, it was someone else. What are you talking about? Aiden's mind raced. He glanced around, but the old woman was gone. The room was just as it had been before, empty, silent, save for the soft hum of the streetlight outside. He shook his head, trying to clear the fog in his mind. I swear, there was someone right here. Aiden, you're not making any sense. Maybe you're just tired or something. I should go back. No. But Samantha had already begun to pull away. The moment, their moment, was shattered. The night felt colder, emptier, like something had been broken between them. That night, Aiden couldn't sleep. The image of the old woman's hollow stare burned into his mind. Every time he closed his eyes, his face was there, her mouth opening as if to say something, but no sound came out. The longer he lay in bed, the more unsettled he became. It wasn't just the woman, it was the feeling that lingered, like a shadow that wouldn't leave. At one point, he woke up with a jolt, drenched in sweat. The nightmare he had of the old woman screaming at him, her voice distorted and strained, replayed over and over in his mind. "Give it back," she yelled, her voice like nails on a chalkboard. Aiden tried to shake it off, tried to go back to sleep, but it was impossible. Every time he closed his eyes, her voice echoed in his head. "Give it back." The next day, he barely made it through class. He couldn't focus, couldn't think. The watch on his wrist seemed to grow heavier with every second. The cold metal pressing onto his skin, like a constant reminder of something he couldn't remember, or didn't want to remember. As Aiden walked down the crowded school hallway, he felt the weight of the watch growing heavier on his wrist. "It's not yours." His heart raced hearing that same voice, the old woman. But when he turned, he saw Samantha. "What did you say?" "Just calling you to wait. It's like you couldn't even hear me. What happened? You look like you saw a ghost." "No, it's nothing. I have to go. I have to go." What's gotten into him? Returning home, Aiden stared at himself in the bathroom mirror, adjusting the watch. As he touched it, the reflection flickered. For a split second, he saw the old woman's cold and blinking eyes staring back at him. Feeling unwell, Aiden thought he'd call it a night and fell asleep. Give it back. The next day, when Samantha saw Aiden, she could tell something was off. The way his eyes were always darting around. The way he kept looking over his shoulder like someone was watching him. "Aiden, what's going on? You're acting strange. I don't like it." Aiden wanted to tell her everything, to let her know that something was wrong, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. "It's nothing. I'm sorry about that night. I don't know what happened. I probably imagined it." "Well, you can always make it up." "After school. My place. My dad's going out of town." Aiden couldn't wait till school ended. Checking his watch, he stepped out to see Samantha waiting across the street. As she waved at him, Aiden rushed across over. Suddenly, Aiden! Samantha was devastated when she witnessed the crash with her own eyes. Please be okay, she whispered, her voice trembling as she pressed her hand on his chest. But he wasn't moving. The ambulance arrived moments later, and Aiden was rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, it was chaos. Fortunately, Samantha got her dad to help out. Mr. Harold pulled strings, making calls, ensuring that Aiden received the best possible care. But when Mr. Harold walked into the room, his eyes immediately landed on Aiden's wrist. His expression shifted. Where did you get this watch? Aiden's watch? Samantha's gift. Dad, the day at the window, it was Aiden. I love him. He came to give me a New Year's gift. I forgot to get his one, so I took one of your watches and gifted him. Mr. Harold just stared at the watch, his brow furrowing. You shouldn't have. Years ago, Dr. Harold had been on a medical trip to a small town, where he met an elderly woman named Evelyn Winters. She lived alone in a small house on the outskirts. None of her children cared for her, and after her son left her, Mrs. Winters was left to fight on her own. In all this, when some businesses were looking to build a mall in the area, they caught sight of Mrs. Winters' home and wanted to purchase it from her. Mrs. Winters didn't have anywhere else to go, and she wasn't willing to sell her home to anyone. But with her old age getting more hold of her, and social services trying to get her to move into an old age facility, Mrs. Winters was having a hard time fighting against them. It was in all this, one evening, Dr. Harold found his way to her home. During a volunteering program in his early days as an intern, hearing her story, Dr. Harold felt for her and continued to provide her treatment and support. But although Mrs. Winters was able to live in her home, her health didn't support her. It was on her deathbed, beside Dr. Harold. She was utterly grateful for everything he had done for her. You've been a true son to me. Take this. It was meant to be passed down in my family. It's worth $10 million. And it's a token of my gratitude, only for you. Mrs. Williams had given Dr. Harold the old heirloom, the watch, as a token of gratitude. It was meant to be for him, and only him. Hearing what her father said, Samantha looked at Aiden. I saw an old woman. Mrs. Winters.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.